Hello everybody and welcome to the latest episode of Peteman Reviews. Today we have the Make Toys robot Excavator, who forms part of Giant Type 61. Now obviously those of you who watch Transformers and know Transformers will actually know that Excavator is otherwise known as Scavenger. And he forms Constructicon, who forms Devastator. So in terms of his Excavator mode, Make Toys are nothing if not unique with the names. It's pretty good. As you see, he's got the shovel here. It does move. Doesn't move massively, but it does move, so you've got articulation there. This bit articulates as well. Unfortunately, the shovel itself doesn't. As you can see, it's got quite good detailing with the pistons, even to differentiate the colours there to indicate how a piston would work. But the shovel itself doesn't have articulation. That said, the rest of it does, which, given that this forms no function other than to look like an excavator, it's a nice little attention to detail. Tracks, however, are purely for show. They don't move and there are no wheels. Much the same as with Bulldozer, so Scavenger. Sorry, this is Scavenger. So, what am I trying to say? Bone Crusher is the word I'm looking for. Much like Bulldozer, the tracks are purely for show and there are no wheels either. So that's a little bit of a letdown. But as you can see, the detail on them is really high, so you can see where there are individual wheels were the tracks to move. In terms of the actual robot itself, you might be noticing a theme as you watch these, but they are extremely well detailed. Obviously with a little cab and then different markings as well. It's mainly a combination of paintwork and sculpting, but it's a really high level of detail, which I think helps sell this guy as well. Obviously, we need to show you him in robot mode. Just before I do that, however, it does come with a bit of kibble. Unusually for a third-party toy, there isn't anywhere to put this. This is his gun. It forms that function as well. What does it look like? I suppose it looks a bit like a scope and then it transforms into a gun. But there's nowhere to put it on in this mode. So you can try and rest it somewhere. But even if you rest it on here, it doesn't have anywhere to go. So this is the only toy where there is no obvious place. It doesn't go into another toy as well. So you do have a little bit of kibble. But it's a relatively, well, it's not a relatively, it is a very minor gripe in otherwise, but it's a pretty decent toy. So in terms of transforming him, to begin with, you need to flip this whole section up. Just flips up like that. As you can see, you're now left here with the Devastator connections. So flip that up so it goes like that. The legs flip out, and as you can see, they then go all the way round. Remember on Bone Crusher's toy I said how awkward these tracks are. It's actually the same things on here with exactly the same problems, so be warned on those. These flip out to produce his feet, his legs, we're on his legs, produce his feet, and you can see here exactly the same on Bone Crusher. This flips out here to produce the stabling element of it. In fact, you can see, but it is not too big a gripe to say this is exactly the same as it is for Bone Crusher. So there we are, and then you do have a disconnect there, and that can rotate round. When I say disconnect, I mean there's a little join. See it wiggle, and then you flip that around, and so you have his legs. Now, obviously, that's the start, but then there's considerably more to go with this. So, flip this down. This produces his arms, or one of his arms I should say. His head is actually located here. It looks a bit odd like this, but don't worry, it becomes easier. Flip this down, so do the same on this side, and his excavator becomes an arm. The head actually rotates back, so I think the best way to rotate it, probably have to lift it ever so slightly, just over there. Flips on that side, and there you are. You've got all this gubbins at the back here. It doesn't really have a home. You can kind of tried to do that, but then it's really obvious from the front that he's got the big thing on his back, so it's best probably to try and do this just to give him some stability. Now finally, you just need to flip that up so it's fully like that. Okay, we're there. Just rotate that arm that way, and he's done. Probably one of the quickest transformations of the Make Toys range. Probably one of the easiest as well, which is good. Perhaps one of the more compromised toys because of this big shovel, but it works to a point. And as I said before, we've changed his gun. We've got the little hook there. Just need to slot that into his hand. I say just need to slot it into his hand. You can just see there, it's probably not that obvious, but it does just about fit. Let's say just about. It's a pretty loose fit, but it fits. So there we go. That is Excavator or Scavenger in his robot mode. What do you think? It's alright. It's alright. It's another one of those. I say with the possible exception of Mixmaster, I think all the Constructicons robot modes have been compromised, possibly a little bit too much by the needs of all the transformation. This feels particularly clunky. Just having the shovel here. Can he use it as a weapon? I'm not sure how. So it feels really quite clunky to have it like that. You know, that's quite awkward. The head's good sculpting. The head's always good sculpting on them, and I probably haven't stressed that enough. But the head is actually pretty decent sculpts for it. In terms of robot, you would expect a good level of articulation, but it's worth stressing it again. You know, he does have some good movement, and he can do quite a lot. This arm perhaps a little bit less because of the confines of here, but otherwise, you know, that's a really good level of posability for him. You might think that this is going to make him a little bit unbalanced, because if we look at him in that view, it just looks really odd. It surprisingly doesn't. You probably could have it like that as well. It's very clunky kibble, I'm afraid. The fact that there is just nowhere to put it at all when he's in robot mode does mean you have to kind of have him. You can't have him side on. You must have to have him front on. That said, when you do have him front on, it looks good. There is no. I think that needs to be stressed. It does look good, and it works well. Okay, so we'll bring in our Combiner War smokescreen and our Generation 1 commemorative edition of Skywarp. He's a similar height, and it's quite pleasing to see the fact that all of the Constructicons thus far have had a very similar height. You don't have one who's miles taller than all the others, like you do with, say, for example, the area bots, well, all the other, Scramble City style Transformers. That said, there's nothing wrong with having a taller leader, but with the Constructicons particularly, because there's 6 of them, they all form, who is the leader? Is it Hook? Is it Longhaul? Or many say it's actually Scrapper, who's one of the legs, so they don't really have as much an obvious a leader, and that's reflected in the size of the bots as well. They are all a similar sort of height, similar sort of abilities, and it's good to see that's carried through. Now, he does have another extra part of the form, surprisingly enough. It's a bit weird, so bear with me for this. These are obviously Devastator's hands. They actually can be used with this guy as well. So it's a little bit unusual. However, as he's got this option, I think it's worth showing you it. So to begin with, we remove somewhat awkwardly to remove the gun. This then flips back up here. Same on this one as well, so you just need to move his arm, that one out of the way. These rotate back up. Suddenly he's, once again, fairly armless. Just fell and then these will hook on. Now, as to where they hook on, that's perhaps a little bit less obvious. So bear with me a second. I think, because what you can see here is there's little bits of Devastator bit. Trust me, it does clearly show them hooking on. How they hook on, yeah, you might have to bear with it. Okay, I'm just going to let it fall over for the moment. So I'm going to show you the instructions again. See, there we are. It clearly hooks in where that clear bit. I think I see. Okay, so previously you might have seen that on Devastator's arm bits, you've got the fairly unusual bits here. Don't really seem to do anything. These are what you need. One out for that arm, one out for that arm, like so. And then these will hook in to where his hands are. So what we need to do is try to get the arms round. Here we go. So you've got his hands pointing downwards. These will then hook into his hand, so he's effectively holding it. It's a bit of a tight fit, but it is a fit. Oops, that was just the Devastator flipping over there, don't worry about those bits, I know. And that's that on that one, and then we do the same on this, so this part here that we've pulled up here goes into the hand. So he's holding it. This one, of course, you guarantee there's going to be one that's fiddly to go in. Whenever you're trying to show something on camera, there always is. It does go in. And there you are. You kind of have him as, what, Hulk hands? Incredible Hulk. It very much is that. It's no more than a gimmick. It's, as I say, it's a slightly odd gimmick because he now has silly hands. There isn't really anywhere to put his gun, which is odd. So he kind of just becomes, Scavenger with the massive hands. It's bizarre, but it is an option, and there you go. So the hands are very much oversized. It looks bizarre, doesn't it? But there we go. That is the secret hidden option. I suppose in theory you could do this with all the Constructicons. I mean, nearly all of them have hands that are of that kind of size. Quite why you'd want to, I don't know. I mean, there you go. There's not really much more you can say to that. It's kind of a, I don't know. I feel it's a gimmick. It's it's an interesting idea. It's a nice idea. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure why you'd feel the need to do that. It just looks bizarre. But there you go. That's the options in the interest of showing you all the stuff that Make Toys have given us. There we go. So, we'll leave them on for the moment. That is Scavenger, Excavator. Is it a good toy? Yes, it is. This bit, I think, perhaps lets it down. Not the fact the shovel doesn't move, but the fact there's nowhere to put it in robot mode. As with a lot of these guys, it's the robot mode that you just feel is lacking somewhat. I don't necessarily think that's the fault of Make Toys at all. I think it's the fault of the fact that Constructicons in particular are flawed in the way that they combine. So you have excellent combined mode, excellent vehicle mode, but their individual robot modes are the compromise. And on these guys, the compromise is noted. Perhaps if we were expecting them to be of a slightly lower quality, and therefore price perhaps, you wouldn't mind so much. I don't think people mind too much here because, let's face it, if you've got the Constructicons, they spend most of their time in Devastator mode, and that's good, and we'll show you that at the end. It's these robot modes that perhaps feel the most flawed. That said, he feels a little bit more solid than the others. I think possibly because, I am just going to remove the silly hands from this part here. guarantee is now going to be a pain to come off. There we go. So, he's perhaps a little bit better than his other Tread character, Bone Crusher, Conrad Bone Crusher, I have to say, because he's a narrower robot, so he doesn't feel quite as spindly. And I think that works to his advantage, whereas Bone Crusher was a fairly wide robot, and I think perhaps that meant that the little spindly tracks, I think they didn't really help it a lot. The fact that also Bone Crusher had quite a large chest with the hood coming on, whereas again, this guy doesn't. It works a bit better. The arm is what lets him down, unfortunately. But all told, pretty decent character. The big plus is when you reach the Devastator mode, and as I say, the Excavator mode itself is pretty good. Robot mode, if we got rid of this and we got rid of this, I'd be very complimentary about it. But I think the fact that you've got such obvious kibble, that doesn't really seem to. It actually gets in the way. I don't mind kibble, So when you've got the doors, or in of the cars, or the wings in the case of Skywarp here, they don't really get in the way. Here they do. That's why I'm a little bit harsh on him. But all told, yeah, good guy. Easy to transform, which is frankly a relief. Very, very strange extra mode with Devastator's hands, but you never need to use that again, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, so thank you very much for watching. That was Make Toys Excavator, part of Giant Type 61. Thank you very much for watching. Please leave any comments, please click on the other links, and we'll see you for the next review. Thank you. Goodbye.